Hi, I'm Jesse Miles, and I want to help you create the freedom to live life your way. Today I wanted to talk about how your brain is a liar sometimes.
Go on an adventure, go on an adventure, go on.
Your brain wants to keep you safe. That's what it's wired to do. That's what it's been doing for thousands of years. It's been going, potential danger, safety, that one. Your brain is wired to keep you safe. That sounds like a good thing, but it's kind of a problem. If your brain just wants to keep you safe, then it's blocking you from all the opportunities, because the opportunities exist in the unknown. They exist in the unpredictable. And the thing that knows what you need to do next is not your brain. It's your gut instinct. Your gut instinct knows what you need to do next. You feel it. You feel it like in a physical way. Oh, that looks cool. Oh, those people look fun. Oh, that place seems awesome. You feel what you want to do next. Your instinct is telling you. But your head often does a really good job of arguing you out of it. Once your gut instinct is pulling you to do something intimidating in the unknown, your head is going to start in. Oh, those people probably won't even like you. Oh, that place is really far away. I don't know, that seems scary. And I don't know if that thing would work out. You probably wouldn't even be good at that. Your head immediately begins arguing you out of what your gut instinct knows it wants to do next. That's why you need to not listen to this. Your gut is for making decisions. Your head is for working out the details to those decisions. I find that the really heady people have a hard time with overthinking. The more physical you are, the more present you are in your body, I think the easier it is for you to connect with your gut instinct and follow it into what it wants you to do next. Robert Downey Jr. talked about this in an interview that I watched, and he said that it's the gentle tug of a thin thread of fate.
I always think of it as like this little super thin, invisible thread, but you can feel the tug, and you just you have to be really gentle, and you have to pause when agitated, and you have to go for it when you go like, there's four walls in here, which one has the map behind it? It's that one. And you knock down the wall and it's there,
Yeah, what is that though? That's a
synchronicity,
yeah,
intuition.
Because it knows what it wants you to do next, and you feel it. You feel this gentle tug like, oh man, I really want to go and try that thing that those people are doing. I've connected with it in different ways. I've connected with it through music and art and sports. When I'm playing lead guitar and I'm just soloing on top of music, there's no thought happening. It's a flow state. I'm just feeling what sounds good and just allowing it to flow through me. When I was a running back in high school in football, I would move through a defense and score a touchdown, and I'd look back and I'd go, I have no idea how that happened. It's just instinctive. I didn't make any conscious decisions. I just moved. Moment to moment flow state. Moment to moment gut instinct reaction. The best athletes and the best musicians, they know this. John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who's my favorite guitarist, he talks in interviews and they'll ask him like, oh, what were you thinking up there on that big stage at the Grammys? And he's like,
you make it look effortless. What kind of things are going through your mind when you're up there playing guitar?
Oh, nothing. The idea there is to shut your mind off. Music comes through you when you're not thinking, and when you learn how to just surrender to the current of music. It's not about thinking anything or planning anything. So you just learn to shut your mind off gradually through years and years of practicing.
and the greatest athletes know this as well.
Again, in zone, you just kind of stay there. You become oblivious to everything that's going on. You don't think about your surroundings or what's going on with the crowd or the team.
Your brain is going to lie to you. It's going to tell you that you're being smart and sensible and practical and wise. But the reality is you're just being safe and predictable. You're just settling for safe and predictable because the unpredictable and unknown is intimidating and it's frightening. And I understand. It's scary. I get it. We're all scared of the unknown. But you really need to break out of your comfort zone, because the longer that you stay in your comfort zone, the harder it is to get out. This is how people end up agoraphobic, where they can't leave their house. The longer you stay in what's safe, the harder it is for you to go into the unknown. You know, after a few years of staying in what's safe, your friends come back from college and they say, oh, we're all gonna go to Southern California and surf for a week. And you're like, oh no, that's way too much, I can't. I got a thing that week, and also, you know, there's reasons and there's problems with that, and it's not possible, right? You let your brain start in on it, and then you rationalize your way out of it. I have fallen prey to this, and I'll share a story where I fell prey to this. I was 25 and I sold my first business. And I had money to make a move. And I wanted to become a rock star. That's why I sold the business. I had two options on the table. I could move to Australia and start an Aussie rock band and tour Australia as a rock star. Or I could stay in my area where I had connections and I knew the lay of the land and do it that way. Unfortunately, I chose staying in my area. I allowed my brain to convince me that that was strategic, that was practical. The reality is, maybe it wouldn't have worked out either way, but I would have had a lot more fun in Australia. And what ended up happening, because I chose the safe route, is I just got bored and frustrated. Dreams die in boredom and frustration. And boredom and frustration happen because you chose the safe and predictable route. After a year or two in the safe and predictable route in my own area, I was so bored and I was so frustrated. I was like, this is not going to work. No one's interested in this because it's not interesting. I'm not even interested in this. So I packed my bags and I bought a ticket to Australia, and I got my work visa lined up, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this the right way, that I should have done it in the first place. And then the pandemic hit and I wasn't able to go. So these awesome opportunities that the gentle tug of the thin thread of fate pulls you towards, they won't always be available 1 year or 2 years later. You have no idea what's going to happen. You need to follow it when you feel the tug. Because I missed that opportunity. I wasn't allowing my gut instinct to lead the way. I was allowing my brain to rationalize and strategize and call it wise. And I don't want you to do that, because following your gut instinct is what leads to all the greatest opportunities. Opportunities are waiting for you to take a leap of faith to prove that you deserve them. In the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, he has to leap from the lion's head. That's one of the tests to get the Holy Grail. He has to leap from the lion's head. That's what opportunities are like. They require you to leap from the lion's head, and then when he does in the movie, he lands on an invisible bridge that's carved exactly the same as the canyon to look like it's not there. But he lands on it, and it's there, and he can continue on to get the Holy Grail. Because opportunities require that you take a leap of faith before they reveal themselves. You take the leap of faith, and then they reveal themselves and say, hey, congrats. You took the leap of faith, here I am. And people are scared of the unknown. They're scared of the unpredictable because there is danger in it. I have to acknowledge that there is danger in it. There are things that could go wrong in moving to Australia to start a band. There's problems that could happen. But there are so many more opportunities when you're following your gut instinct. People see you doing that and they go, whoa, they're stepping out in the unknown and the unpredictable to do something really cool that they feel pulled to do, that they feel drawn to do. That's awesome. I want to help them out. How can I help? Like, you need anything? Like, it's so cool what you're doing. You need anything? And so many times in my life, I've been following my gut instinct, and that's happened, where someone shows up and is like, you're just doing what you want to do? Like, how can I help? This is so cool. In the movie Forrest Gump, everyone admires Forrest Gump for that reason. Forrest Gump just does what he feels like doing. He just does the next thing that he is drawn to do. He doesn't think about things. He's just like, oh, I like running, so I'm going to play college football. Oh, you know what? Bubba likes shrimp, and I like Bubba, so why don't I open a shrimp boat? Why don't I become a shrimp boat captain in honor of Bubba? And then he's like, oh, table tennis is fun. I'll just play table tennis and become the best and go to the Olympics and meet Richard Nixon. And then he's like, I feel like running. I'm just going to run back and forth across America. And then soon there's all these people following him, and like, he's their cult leader, and he's like, I wonder what's going on. And if you were someone who went to high school with Forrest Gump, 20 years later you're watching him on TV, and he's been in the shrimp boat business, and he's running across America, and he was in the Olympics for table tennis. You're just like, who is this guy? How is he not frozen in indecision? How can he just do these things? It's so important to follow your gut instinct, especially as a young person. If you're a teenager, there's a launch point that happens when you graduate high school. It doesn't matter if you go to college or trade school or live with a relative in Montana or travel or whatever, internship, doesn't matter, start a business, you gotta do something. The writer Charles Bukowski, he said that I was waiting around for something interesting to happen and nothing ever did unless I caused it. Nothing ever happened unless he caused it. And I've seen a lot of people wait around for something interesting to happen, and I've seen nothing happen because they weren't causing anything. Nothing interesting is going to happen unless you allow your instinct to lead you into something unpredictable, because that's where the opportunities are. I was at a party and there was this kid a few years younger than me. I was probably 25, he was probably 23, and he was just a walking ball of despair. He was like, oh, nothing matters and life is meaningless and I can't even get off the couch. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what to say to this. And he kept going, and he kept talking, and finally I just snapped and I was like, look, you gotta go on an adventure. Like, you gotta go, you gotta get out, you gotta go do something. You gotta go on an adventure. And I knew this kid well enough to know that he had just hung out, he'd just stayed around since we graduated high school. And I was like, look, you gotta go do something, all right? You are stuck, you're floundering because you missed the launch date, and the longer that you stay in comfort, you stay in the safe and secure, it just became harder and harder for him to do anything. And I was like, look, this is a problem. You need to absolutely break this habit. You need to break this habit of allowing your brain to convince you to stay in the safe, comfortable zone. You gotta go on an adventure. You gotta go out and do something. Whatever it is that your instinct is telling you looks cool, you gotta go. If it says, oh man, Spain, I've seen videos of Spain, you gotta go to Spain. You know, if it's saying, oh man, look at that person playing that instrument, wish I could play that instrument, you gotta play that instrument. If it's seeing somebody running some table at a farmer's market where they're selling things they made, you gotta do that. You know, whatever it is, you gotta go on your own personal adventure, and you gotta let your instinct lead the way. You can't allow yourself to just sit in this despair that doesn't make any sense, because the world is incredible. The world is amazing. I've been to 30 countries. The world is exactly as cool as you think it is, but more so. It is cooler. It blows my mind every single time I travel. And it's like, oh man, you go around a corner and there's someone playing live music out front of a shop, and you go inside and there's all this incredible art that you didn't even know could exist. Then you leave the town and you go up in the mountains and there's beautiful landscape scenery and a waterfall, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I'm alive. This is insane. And if you don't allow your instinct to pull you into those cool things, then you end up in that place where he was, in despair. He wasn't creating his own adventure. We're all supposed to create our own adventure. It's our responsibility to create an adventure out of our life. And even if there's people or forces that are standing in the way of you following that gentle tug, you gotta maneuver around them. You gotta get around them, and you gotta get to the other side and follow it. There's a story I like to tell about a tribe that lives on a glacier, and you're a member of the tribe, and the chief says, we do not climb the mountains to the east. No one climbs those mountains. Over those mountains is only danger. And one night you're like, oh, man, I gotta know what's over those mountains. And so you just leave and you climb over the mountains, and it takes you weeks, but then you get over the mountains and you get to the other side and you go down into this beautiful green valley, this pristine meadow with a river flowing through it, and you're like, oh, come on. This is just right here. This is ridiculous. I gotta go back and tell people. So you go back to the tribe and you tell everybody, and the chief is like, you are a liar and you will lead us to our deaths. You're banished. So then you're banished, but your two friends decide to follow you. And the three of you go over the mountains and you get down into the meadow on the other side, and your friends see it and they're like, oh, come on. This is right here. Oh man, this is ridiculous. And you guys enjoy the meadow because you can't go back, you're banished, and you're like, ah, whatever. Let those people be stuck in the mud. And then a blizzard comes through, and the blizzard is the worst in years, the worst winter ever, and you're like, all right, we got to go back and save the tribe. They're going to freeze up there. So you and your two friends climb up over the mountains, and you go back to the tribe, and you're like, look, you guys are going to freeze. You've got to come with us. And they're like, oh, we have no choice. We are going to freeze. So they all follow you up over the mountains, and they go down into this beautiful, green, pristine meadow. And they're like, oh, come on. You got to be kidding me. This is right here. And they look at the chief. They're like, you idiot. You jerk. You were withholding this from us? Are you serious? And the chief comes up to you and he's like, I was so wrong. And you're like, it's cool, I forgive you, but I'm chief now. And then the credits roll, and it just says, seek unpredictability. Seek the unknown. Follow your instinct over the mountains. And the best part in this story about him following his instinct over the mountains, anyone following their instinct wherever it takes them, is that once you're there, you can lead other people to that green meadow. You create something cool, you build a business out of that, other people can work there. And they can do something interesting instead of doing other boring jobs. A lot of jobs are boring. You create something interesting for people to do, they will be in the green meadow with you and they'll be like, oh man, this is so much better. Thank you so much for doing this. You know, I've created bands out of the songs I've written, and then all of those musicians get to be participating in a project that's interesting to them. And they're like, oh man, I'm so glad you're doing this. This is fun. So it's not just you that can benefit from following your gut instinct. It can benefit lots of people. When you allow your instinct to pull you, when you allow your instinct to lead the way, and turn this off, man, life just opens up to you. Opportunities just fall in your lap. And you really need to do that as much as possible. Get out of your own way. You know, don't argue yourself out of the best things that could happen to you. So I want people to create their own adventure. I want them to have the freedom to do that. I want them to have the financial freedom to do that and the creative freedom to do that. And I hope that you decide to do that and create a great adventure out of your own life. If that's what you want to do, keep checking in, because I'm going to do my best to help other people create a great adventure out of their own life. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.
Go on an adventure, go